Thank you very much, Lynn, and thank you, Margaret. And indeed, it's a beautiful day in a beautiful setting. So thanks for arranging that for us. In terms of Siemens, we really do enjoy the current climate here in the UK. One of having a renewed ambition to rebalance our economy and to make more things, which we think is great. And of course, with that, one of the things we have to do lots more of is to make sure we've got the right skills, and therefore we're also very, very pleased to be working in partnership with Semta on the whole employer ownership agenda. In terms of our activities here, we already make lots here today. We have about 13 key manufacturing sites here, all in the United Kingdom. Across them they employ 5,000 people, and we make lots of clever innovation like magnets for MRI medical scanners, like intelligent motor drives for industrial motors, and like very high efficiency industrial gas turbines. And our total GVA from those activities alone in the UK generates about 1.3 billion worth of value to the British economy. Also, Siemens globally spends an awful lot of money with the British supply chain. We spend about £1.9 billion with British supply chains, lots of them small, medium-sized companies, and with that we support a lot of British jobs also. And in order for us to do more of both of those activities, i.e. to manufacture more here, and for us to spend more money with British supply chain, British manufacturing companies, then I see there are really two main challenges. There are always lots of challenges, but I'm going to, in this short time, just take it down to two. One is definitely innovation and R&D. How do we innovate faster? How do we do more R&D here locally in the UK? And the second is indeed the availability of skills. And of course, those two are very closely interlinked with one another. So in short, for us as Siemens to make more here or to buy more here in the UK, we basically look for something that is either extremely highly innovative, something that we can't find anywhere else in the world, here is the best place to do it, or that we find an extremely highly skilled workforce, probably in collaboration with a university or maybe one of the new catapults, and we have the feeling that we can do something here faster than we could anywhere else. Germany, China, India, Singapore, or where else that might be. An example of one of those being, for example, the company Marine Current Turbines, a company that we acquired in the UK a very short time ago. They're into tidal energy, and we acquired them here and will invest in that area here because we feel the UK is one of the best places in the world to currently invest in that technology and in that R&D. And clearly that means we're going to invest here. And I personally think that as the UK industrial industry, we need to find a few more of those areas where on a worldwide basis we can really excel in terms of the skills and the technology that we have. In specific to the skills activities, however, I do think we have quite a few challenges. Now, we're not alone on these challenges. Germany and other industrial nations also have some of those, but I think we've been on the starting blocks a little bit later, especially on the engineering side, so have some work to do. The first challenge is simply one of the image and the standing in general of our industry. And then also linked to that, the image especially of vocational and technical training, which doesn't stand high enough in this country if, for example, you compare it to a comparable German technician or apprentice. And then also actually the image of the professional engineer isn't high enough in this country. We as engineers, we don't stand alongside a doctor or a lawyer in terms of the standing in society. Where I come from in Austria, it is very common for me to be introduced at an event like this as Herr Ingenieur Juergen Maier. And it's not that I particularly want to be put on a pedestal, that's just where you are put, in the same way as I would be Herr Dr. Juergen Maier if I was a qualified medical doctor, which I'm not. And if somebody in Austria turns up to mend my boiler, say in my house, then That person would be extremely highly regarded in society. He would be known as a technician who has done a technician and apprenticeship probably type training, but he isn't able to call himself an engineer. But both are very highly regarded in society. And on the engineering front, we get that completely wrong. Almost anybody can call themselves an engineer, and apprentices are not highly enough regarded. Whereas in the medical profession, a nurse, very highly regarded, is a nurse, and she can't call herself a doctor, and the doctor is the doctor. And I think we have got to create more of that scenario here in the UK. Moving on to the general image thing of manufacturing, I actually think as a country we're doing some really good things. Just run through a few. STEMnet Ambassador Programme. We are Siemens very keen to support that. We have about 100 ambassadors going into schools, encouraging young people into science, technology, engineering and maths. We love supporting the Big Bang Fair. We've been supporting that for 3 years now. Last year in Birmingham, 50,000 young school children came along to be enthused and excited about engineering. We're also supporters of the Make It in GB campaign. I'm a personal champion of that. And we're supporting the exhibition of Make It in GB, which actually gets officially launched tomorrow at the Science Museum here in London. And all of these are great initiatives, but we definitely need to do more. We need to get out to the masses more. We need to get through the media more to generally talk up our industry and the image and the profession within it. Because one thing is for sure, that the advice that too many young people are getting in this country, which often happens through careers advice, is often failing us. And young people, even who have an interest in technical type subjects, are not advised to move into careers in manufacturing and technology. And the result is obviously that we still don't have enough young people who are wanting to work in our great, exciting and interesting industry. Now, what is interesting is that at Siemens, we interestingly don't right at the moment have a problem in terms of attracting young people. For example, this year we applied for 160 apprentices to join our organisation, all technical engineering apprentices, some standard apprentices, some higher apprentices. And we got 14 applicants for every single apprentice vacancy that we put out there, which is actually quite tremendous. But actually I think that in itself is creating a bit of a problem, because there are some companies thinking, well, actually it's not a bigger problem as we think this is, whereas I personally know that that situation is going to change, which is why Siemens are taking it extremely seriously now. The reason why it's going to change is that the baby boomer generation, to which I belong, is going to be retiring in 10 to 15 years' time. Just before that time, there is going to be an upturn in our industry globally, which I know at the moment seems hard to imagine, but there is going to be, because there is a growing population, and that population is going to consume more things, and those things need to be made. So therefore, there is going to be a bit of a time bomb there, where all of a sudden we've got not enough young people coming through, and more of us are retiring. The other thing that we know is that what I'm describing in the 14-to-1 is not true for SME type countries, but companies, because they don't benefit from a lot of the marketing, from the brand image that a company like Siemens has. So therefore we talk to many of our customers and suppliers who are really struggling to take on apprentices. And that is why we are great supporters of the Employer Ownership Fund. That's where we've joined up with Semta, and we've made an application to the Employer Ownership Fund, where we, together with Semta, want to extend our own in-house apprenticeship schemes, and we want to extend that to the supply chain so that we can be creating apprentices for suppliers who are or who might be supplying components into, for example, our offshore industry. If successful with the Employer Ownership Fund round 1, we're already thinking about Employer Ownership Fund round 2, where we want to create the same sort of scheme for some of our customers. These are engineering system integrators who are also reporting shortages of apprentices, many of which just haven't got the resources to do much about it. And we're saying, together with Semta, we will work up a scheme where we will help train apprentices of yours for the future. So our advice is to any organisation who is struggling to get apprentices or to get onto the apprenticeship ladder altogether, please do contact Semta. They're an extremely helpful organisation in being able to support you. They've been able to support us in a great way, and you may even be able to join one of the combined Siemens Semta employer ownership fund schemes. So to conclude, I'm really encouraged that as a country and as the coalition, there is a lot more focus on our industry, skills being much higher up the agenda. My only advice is it really needs to be a long-term strategic focus that we keep this going for the next 2 decades to make sure that we are really supporting our industry. And with that support, we the manufacturers must go out there and invest now in terms of our apprentices, our technician skills, so that we make sure we have got an extremely highly skilled and capable workforce into the future. Thank you very much.